Hey, missed you guys. So we are now doing Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince, 6th movie, 6th book in this massive franchise. And this is the second film to be directed by David Yates and is the first film in the franchise to have the cinematography done by Bruno Del Bonell. And the reason why I say this is because if you have seen this film, you know that this film looks different. The way the colors look, the way sometimes it feels like it's almost like dreadful or kind of like the colors kind of bleached, because they wanted to make the film look very different than all the other films, and it really sticks out. It has like this yellowy pasty look to it, which definitely caught me off guard at first because I hadn't seen this film since like 2009. Wow, that was a really long time. I was like 9 years old, so but honestly, like, it was just such different experience seeing this for the first time in such a long time. And you know, it really stuck out to me, and it really set with the tone of this film, because the film is very dark, and it almost feels like it's just like everything just goes bad. Like you're discovering everything, and it feels like they're setting up so many elements for the next Deathly Hallows films. Well, should be one film, and it really does an awesome job. So I just wanted to shout out that. So what do I like about this film? Well, I will say this: I really do like the story. All these Harry Potter films always have a great story. You know, that's why we like them. I mean, they're a book series. They have a really good story, you know? Like, it has that fictional, wizardly aspect. But what I like particular about this one, it feels very mature. Like, the tone always switches in each one of these films, and it feels like a very mature film. And it seems like there's a lot of elements that don't even really feel like it's like for like a teenager audience. It feels like it was more for me and more of like people that are adults that are enjoying these films. And that's what I really appreciate about it, because it respected the audience, and they know that the audience is getting older as we get older, and they know these books get darker as they go along. So I really enjoy that aspect. The other aspect that I think everyone likes is the Harry and Albus Dumbledore storyline about learning about the Horcruxes and understanding how to defeat Voldemort, and now uncovering the secrets about Harry, about Voldemort. And I find that just so interesting throughout, especially now we have Voldemort's army. Now we have Bellatrix Lestrange being a big part of the picture, and Professor Snape is heavily involved in this film, and you learn a lot more about him than any of the other films. So it really does have a great payoff, Professor Snape, in this film and the rest of the films that are coming up. I think there's some really awesome and magical moments, especially the opening scene. My goodness. Can you talk about something that's so satisfying, like Woody getting fixed up in Toy Story 2? Like, when they fix up the house and Dumbledore's just like, woohoo, woohoo, and just like fixes everything. It looks all perfect. Oh, it's so satisfying, and I wish I could just do that in my own house. That's probably the only spell I could ever want. Yeah, I think there's just so many of those great moments in there. And of course, there are some of the more negative moments in the film. And I think this film definitely does get hit on those elements of the subplots of the relationships. Now, the Hermione and Ron relationship does not work at all. J. Kelly Rowling has come out and said that she made a big mistake having this relationship kind of be formed, because you really don't feel it. You always think it's going to be Hermione and Harry, and that's what I've always seen in all these films rewatching. I'm like, there's definitely something between them, and there's definitely a spark that could actually lead up to it. But then when you have Ron and Hermione, it makes no sense. And apparently J.K. Rowling just kind of envisioned it when she started writing these books, that, okay, they're just going to end up together by the end. And it feels very forced, because once you get into these later films / books, that relationship isn't really developed to be that. And even the actors have said that this wouldn't work out anyways. So I found that very funny too. But it really, really hurts the film a lot. And I think it could be because I just don't care, and I don't think it worked. I mean, maybe if it was between Hermione and Harry, maybe it'd be still kind of annoying, but I wouldn't think it's as bad, because it just feels like it's out of the left field, and it's just so jammed in there. Like, there's nothing really hinting at that any of the series, like I said, for Hermione and Harry. So there's, Ron gets another, like, girlfriend, and she gets all jealous, and she starts talking to a guy. It kind of just goes back and forth, and it feels like this very melodramatic teenager love, young love kind of thing, and it's just not interesting. This is like the first film since the fourth one we actually got the school stuff where we're playing Quidditch, going to classes. You know, it feels a lot more like normal Hogwarts, especially because the last film just didn't feel like that at all, obviously because of the story. And, you know, and that's fine. I think the school stuff is fine in this movie, but I was just kind of like, on all the scenes. I like some of the potion classes they do. I found that kind of fascinating. But really, like, when they're not in Hogwarts, I find that so interesting. Because at this point of the franchise, Hogwarts seems just kind of meaningless. Like, it's just kind of there as, like, a backdrop for characters to go and have expositional scenes or learn from the teachers. Because they are still in school. Like, I get it. But I always find the most fascinating scenes is when the gang leaves from school, or they're going to go talk to Hagrid, or Harry and Dumbledore go on their own adventure. I thought that's just a really more interesting aspect to these films. And of course, we have the most crazy 30 minutes of the film that really does have all the action, and it really picks up, and it's pretty intense. And, you know, seeing it for the first time, I was pretty shocked at the way it goes. And for all you Potter nerds, you know how this movie's going to end, you know, if you've read the books. But also, you know, it really pays off in the later films, and it explains everything of how and why this happened the way it did. Because it comes out of left field, and you're just like, whoa, hold on, I can't process all this. What just happened? This is insane. And what I'm referring to is when Snape kills Dumbledore, and it's a really big moment, as it just feels like this chaos at the end of the film. You feel like there's just no hope, as the cinematography just looks even darker than it did earlier in the film. And it's just, you're like, there's no hope going on. You feel like there's nothing going to be good that's going to be ending this film. So definitely some really heartbreaking moments throughout, and I really enjoyed that for sure. So my other issues I would have is sometimes the pacing hurts a little bit in this film. There's a little bit of a stretch, and it's kind of not in a particular area, I'd say. There's just stretches of the film where the film just kind of goes on for too long, or we're moving at a brisk pace as things happening, and there's times where they just kind of sit back and talk again, and some of those moments, I just don't think we need those talking moments. I think we can push the film a little bit longer. So another great aspect that I do really enjoy that I want to get mention is about Snape and how Harry kind of triggers his memory. And I thought it was just so interesting. It's so fascinating, especially if you see it for the first time. It really opens up your mind about who Snape is, because you don't know any backstory about him. You don't really know what he's about. Where did he come from? And it offers such an introspect of Snape, and your feelings of Snape really do change in that moment when we see those flashbacks. So I thought that was handled extremely well. The music's great. The acting is great in this film as well. So it really does have all those amazing moments, and it does feel like a Harry Potter film, because the budget goes up in all these films. So, you know, they definitely put a lot of money into it, and you can tell, you definitely feel like you're in this universe. And those CGI moments do still hold up personally for me. So that's always a good plus around 11 years later. So I would probably give this film a 7 out of 10. I really enjoyed Half-Blood Prince. Just has some of the great qualities and some of the bad qualities that a lot of these Harry Potter films have. So let me know what you thought about Half-Blood Prince down below in the comments. And if you haven't already, please like, share the video. Please subscribe if you haven't already. That would be amazing, because you guys have been amazing who have subscribed and commenting and just being part of this community that I'm trying to build for you guys, and be part of this together, and just talk about movies and just have some fun from, you know, this terrible world that we live in, and just offer some kind of enjoyment that we can while life is short. So sorry for that whole long thing, but I'm just a deep person, I guess. So I'll see you guys in the next video.